UFC Fight Night Vettori versus Dolidze 2 is coming up next weekend, and today, guys, I have the full card breakdown for you with timestamps if you'd like to skip to any part of the video. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another video. If you were new here, my name is Kyle. I am your guy with too many YouTube channels. We're going to be diving into all these fights as deep as we could possibly get, from breaking them down, talking about all the fighters, betting odds, my opinions on the fighters. We're going to take a look at everything from a fight fan who really enjoys betting. Again, guys, timestamps are there if you'd like to skip to any part of the video. Let's get started. Starting off with the first fight, and this is one of those fights that's kind of like a dud on the card. This card is actually really solid, but there are a few duds, and in my opinion, I'm not necessarily looking forward to this one at all. We have Josiane Nunes taking on Priscila, Cachoeira, Zombie Girl. Josiane Nunes is a fighter who walks forward, throws overhands. She's pretty tough, but that's pretty well it, and she is also way too small for the bantamweight division. She is somebody who can be technically beat as long as fighters kind of stay calm, worry about her overhands, and kind of just outstrike her. She's pretty easy to beat, and we've seen that within her past couple performances against both Chelsea Chandler and Jacqueline Cavalcanti, which I thought that would have been more of a one-sided fight than it was, but you get my point, okay? Regardless, like I said, as long as you stay calm, as long as you are a technical striker, you shouldn't have a problem with somebody like Josiane Nunes. But the problem is, Zombie Girl isn't exactly a technical striker. She's a striker who comes forward, swings with little defense, and looks to hurt her opponents. And we also recently, I don't think that we knew quite to what extent the hole in her grappling game was with Jasmine Jastovicius. But to be fair, Jasmine is a very capable fighter. She is coming off of an absolute domination there. I don't remember exactly what the strikes were, but it was well over 300 strikes to, or at least I was around 300 to below 30. That was an insane beatdown. But honestly, guys, Cachoeira, her record speaks for itself. 12-6, loses half her fights. As soon as she faces anybody of a little bit of significance, she ends up losing. Jillian Robertson, Miranda Maverick, and Jasmine Jastovicius. The problem with this is Josiane Nunes isn't anybody of significance. So maybe Zombie Girl will get this one done, guys. Honestly, this one can go either way. I have no idea. It's going to be a very non-technical fight. It's just which one's tougher. And honestly, both of them might be decently tough. I'm going to go with Zombie Girl. I'm going to pick Priscila Cachoeira. Mostly because, again, you have two fighters that are wild. They swing. They don't have a ton of technique, right? But Josiane Nunes is so small. At that point, when you have the same kind of style, I guess you have to take that into consideration. I know that Zombie Girl is 36 years old, but I don't know, man. Tough fight. I can see this one going either way, but I am going to be picking Priscila Cachoeira to get the job done. You can see that the odds are kind of on the side of Josiane Nunes, which is very interesting. I wouldn't have guessed that. I thought it'd be a lot closer. I thought it'd be somewhere near a pick'em. Maybe it's because, she had a ton of promise, but honestly, Priscila Cachoeira is a pretty good underdog opportunity. For that value, I don't mind it at all, to be honest with you. So my pick is going to be Priscila Cachoeira. Low confidence pick, but that's the pick. All right, guys, let's move on to the next fight. And I'm actually pretty interested in this fight, okay? Now, hear me out. Okay, hear me out. I know I'm probably going to hear about it in the comments. We have Su Young Yu taking on AJ Cunningham, okay? Su Young Yu is a well-rounded fighter. He has sharp kickboxing, a good ground game to back it up. He has pretty sneaky kicks, nice combinations, pressure, fine IQ. He seems to be the perfect package for a fighter, and he seems to have a promising future. We have finally seen him make his UFC debut, and it was a nice decision win. Nothing really to note about it, to be honest with you. AJ Cunningham, on the other hand, he's a well-rounded fighter who's pretty skillful in all areas. He has insane heart. He thrives in mid-range brawls with aggression. His defense and his fight IQ could use some work. So when they're having a technical striking match, I would imagine that Su Young Yu would get the better of him. But the problem is, guys, I'm not ready to count out AJ Cunningham yet. Okay? He's looked good outside the UFC with one hiccup recently on the Contender Series, getting knocked out by Stephen Nagayan. He recently made his UFC debut against Ludovic Klein, and here's the thing, guys. Klein is one hell of a fighter to get in your UFC debut, and I know that he absolutely got destroyed here, okay? I know. But he took it on 3-4 days notice, guys. He tried to fight back. He has really good heart. I honestly don't think you could ever count out AJ Cunningham in a fight. He's always live to get a win. I just am not ready to count him out, and I got a funny feeling he's going to pull this one off. I think everybody is overlooking him, and I already know that AJ Cunningham is a big underdog because I just happen to see it. I don't know, there's no reason behind that. I just happen to see it. I know he's a big underdog. I know I'm going to hear about it, but I think that AJ Cunningham might just overwhelm Su Young Yu. That is a low confidence pick of mine, but I am going to be picking AJ Cunningham to get the win over here. I'm not on the Su Yung-Yu hype train yet, and I'm not off of the AJ Cunningham train yet. I'm picking AJ Cunningham. I think he is capable of bringing a war to Su Yung-Yu, and I think that he's going to do so, okay? AJ Cunningham is my official pick, and the odds, take a look at this. The average odds is plus 486 for AJ Cunningham. That is wild, dude. I think that's way too much personally, but I know a lot of people are hyped up on Su Yung-Yu. I get it. He seems like a great fighter, and I mean, he is a good fighter. It's just, I'm not ready to jump on that yet. I'm picking AJ Cunningham, guys. All right, guys, let's continue on over to the next fight, and this is an interesting matchup. I can't wait to see this one, actually. We have Josias Musasa taking on Carlos Vera. This one is a matchup between, I don't want to say two prospects, but like, you have the prospect coming to the UFC who's been looking pretty good versus like the Ryan Hall prodigy, right? So I'm interested in this fight personally. We have Josias Musasa, who's a wild striker with great hands and pretty sneaky knees. He has good cardio, he has good heart, and he's pretty durable in general. He gets better as the fight goes on, and he seems to be improving from fight to fight. On the ground, he has shown really, really nice scrambles. So he's 8-0. He's a little bit inexperienced, and you can see like before any fight of significance, he hasn't taken on the best level of competition over here, and then he got the split decision win over on the Contender Series, where it was a close fight. It could have gone either way, and while he did take a bit to adjust to the pressure incoming, he ended up finding his own shots, and he showed that he was a pretty good fighter. Like, I would have absolutely given him a shot in the UFC, even though it was a close fight, okay? Carlos Vera, on the other hand, he is, of course, a Ryan Hall prodigy. He trains under Ryan Hall for BJJ. He is a technical striker and grappler with a Taekwondo-based stance, but of course, he does excel on the ground. He's always looking for a submission win on his back. He's very active. The problem is, we haven't seen him tested right until he ended up coming to the UFC, taking on Rinya Nakamura. Now, supposedly, he injured his shoulder very early into this fight. I never know what to believe. I never looked into it because he had a pretty poor performance here, and if he was injured, that sucks, and hopefully he proves us otherwise and shows how capable of a fighter he is, but half the time I don't believe these fighters, man, because honestly, he didn't do anything in his UFC debut besides try to submit from his back. Like, he did a good job with the attempts, but he, didn't just lay there, but nothing ended up coming from any of the submissions that he was trying to throw up. So, I don't know what to think of Carlos Vera yet. Both of these guys need to fight people in UFC experience, and honestly, no matter who beats who, I'm still not going to be convinced of them. I am going to pick Josias Musasa to get the win over here because from what we've seen so far in his Contender Series performance, he's shown that he's a pretty good fighter. But, on the ground, he has really nice scrambles, but I don't know if he's going to be, something that we definitely know is that Carlos Vera is a very good BJJ fighter. Is Musasa's scrambles and BJJ defense good enough to defend against anything that Carlos Vera will bring up to him? Or is Josias Musasa just going to end up clipping Carlos Vera? It's a tough fight for that reason. I'm going to pick Josias Musasa to get the win over here. He's also really young. Carlos Vera coming to the UFC after one fight after the UFC, coming in at his old age, 37 years old. I'm picking Musasa to get the win. I need to see more from both of those guys, though. Let's see what odds Jim has to say over here. Another big favorite over here from Josias Musasa, minus 493 for the average odds. Honestly, guys, I get that. A lot of people are equating him to Ryan Hall. I'm a fan of Ryan Hall, man. I like Ryan Hall, but perhaps he was a little bit overrated. All right, guys, let's move on to the banger of the card, though. The fight on the card that I am so excited to watch. Sam Page Hughes taking on Stephanie Rodenha Lucindo. I didn't even know that was her nickname, but all right. Sam Hughes, big pressure, heavy striker, okay wrestling game. She can be outworked and outstriked. Where she shines is when she's breaking down people using her cardio. She does have good cardio. Stephanie Luciano, on the other hand, she's a Muay Thai striker with very good cardio and grappling and takedown defense. She does lack finishing instincts, unfortunately, but she's pretty patient. She picks her shots. Sometimes this could lead to her being a pretty slow starter. Sometimes it works out for her. Other times it has not. She's coming off of 2 wins against Talita Alencar, which is absolutely nothing to write home about, to be honest with you, but she ended up getting her UFC win. But Sam Hughes, on the other hand, man, I'm sorry, guys, I'm just not interested in this. I'm just not interested in this fight. Sam Hughes, she's 9-6. The record speaks for itself, man. She's taking on subpar competition. Sometimes she wins. Sometimes she loses. If you want to look at Jacqueline Amaram, maybe. We've been underrating her, maybe, but I still don't even think that. I think people are just they're thinking with their eyes over there, okay? She ended up losing to Yasmin Uragoui. Victoria Dudikova split decision. She's not that great, neither is Stephanie Luciano, and I don't know what's going to happen, man. Stephanie Luciano at least has good takedown defense, and that's probably what Sam Hughes is probably going to want to do. She'll break her down using the cardio, get the clinch. I would imagine she's going to try to outwork Stephanie Luciano, and she might do that for like a round, but is Luciano going to turn it on? Is Luciano going to outstrike her because she's going to be the better striker than Sam Hughes? Another little bit of a tough fight to predict. I don't know, man. I have no idea. I'm going to pick Sam Hughes. I'm going to pick Sam Hughes. Maybe she'll grab Stephanie Luciano. You know, the MMA judges for WMMA fights too like to score control time. So I'm going to go with Sam Hughes. I think she's going to get the job done. Let's see what Odds Jim's going to say over here. Sam Hughes is the underdog. All right. We're calling the underdog pick over here. I actually don't think that it should be, like, I think it should be way closer than that. Pick 'em fight, man. Pick 'em fight. But let's continue on. But guys, let's continue on because I actually am, I know I've said that a couple times this card, but I am legitimately, I'm not joking, I'm very much looking forward to this fight, okay? We have Yuneisy Duben taking on Carly Judas. This is a great fight for the division, okay? Duben is a fighter that people have been very, very hyped about to see her UFC debut because on the Contender Series, she got an absolutely insane knockout. The fight was super, super quick. She faked a takedown, threw an overhand right. Clark got knocked out cold. It was just an insane, clean knockout. And she has knockouts throughout her career too. Like, I am excited to see what she can do in the UFC. But why I'm excited for this fight is because Carly Judas is a fighter with insane durability and insane heart. Can the power put her away? We don't know. I think people are counting her out a little bit, but man, like, this is an exciting fight, okay? Anyways, Yuneisy Duben, she's a Taekwondo fighter with great power and good combinations. She thrives in close-range firefights where, again, she's able to land that power. We still have questions about the ground game of Yuneisy Duben. Carly Crispy Judas, on the other hand, she is a fighter with insane heart, very good cardio, can brawl like crazy, and has very good technique to balance that out within the chaos that she can create. She can actually finish fights, and she has some nice head kicks. She's on a 2-fight losing streak. She's 3-2. But in both of these fights, split decision losses, and they were both very good performances, okay? She's better than her 3-2 record. She's taken on good opponents too, like Ernesta Caracacci. She is a fantastic fighter for the division. Gabriela Fernandez, she's good. Like, she's been handed a rough go so far. It actually wouldn't shock me, guys, if Carly Judas pulled out the win over here. I think she is incredibly durable. She can scrap like hell, and she has insane heart. She can walk forward. I think that she can take the fight to Yuneisy Duben, who probably hasn't taken on a Carly Judas yet, okay? I can't not pick the knockout power that we've seen for this division, though. I'm going to pick Yuneisy Duben because I would imagine that Carly Judas isn't going to go for any takedowns. I would imagine that she's just going to scrap. In saying that, though, it is another low-confident pick of mine, okay? Yuneisy Duben is going to be the pick. I think she's going to get a KO, but it wouldn't shock me if she didn't get the KO. It wouldn't shock me if Carly Judas walked through that and created chaos. I am, unironically, extremely excited for this fight. We need more fighters in this division just like this because we can get hyped up just as much, okay? Let's see what Odds Jim has to say, and I would imagine... Oh, okay. Odds Jim is messed up over here. Evan Elder versus Markel Medeiros. I was like, there's no way the odds are that close. There's no way. Unfortunately, I guess we're not going to get any. Let me refresh this page over here. Are we going to... Yep, nothing. Sorry, guys. I don't have any odds for you this time around. Now, guys, let's continue on over to the next fight. We have, moving up to the heavyweight division, Ryan Spann taking on Waldo Cortes-Acosta. I did not know that Ryan Spann was moving up. For some reason, I thought Waldo Cortez was moving down, but I just double-checked it on Tapology, and this fight is taking place at heavyweight. That is very interesting, and I like the idea of a lot of light heavyweights going up to heavyweight. So, Waldo Cortes-Acosta. There is not a ton to break down about him. He has power, and that's about it. He's on a 3-fight win streak, but honestly, guys, none of them have been impressive. The Lucas Bresky, you know what? He got the finish there. Andrei Arlovsky, it was horrible. He couldn't finish a 45-year-old washed Andrei Arlovsky. He started doing a salsa dance instead of actually trying to finish him. And then he had the Rebellis to Spine fight where he won, but he still looked like crap and still did that salsa dance thing. Like, there are times where the finish could potentially be there, but he just starts clowning around. I don't love the way Waldo Cortes-Acosta fights. I don't know if there's a lot of hype behind him, but I don't think that he is a 12-1 fighter in the heavyweight division. You know what I mean? Like, usually when we see 12-1, we go, oh boy, look out. But I don't think about him as too much of a threat. Ryan Spann, on the other hand. Ryan Spann is a very dangerous and powerful striker who can be lengthy. He does have submissions in his back pocket, but although he is a very inconsistent fighter, unfortunately, the 22-10 record kind of speaks for itself. Sometimes he shows up and wins, looks great. Sometimes he's technical, sometimes he lands a big power, and sometimes he just ends up getting, floored or something like that. But he has taken on a very, very strong level of competition. Recently, of course, you can take a look at the Anthony Smith win, and a split decision loss to Anthony Smith doesn't look all that good. But it depends also you want to look at the Ovince St. Preux win, because Ovince St. Preux had just had a couple really good scraps. The 10 losses, they could be better. Or they could be worse, okay? They could be worse, but Ryan Spann is a very inconsistent fighter. I now have questions about how he's going to look at heavyweight. I would imagine that he's going to look good. I would imagine that maybe he'll have a better chin up there too. I would imagine that he's going to fill out very nicely. He's a very, very well-built guy, and you don't see that in the heavyweight division a lot, but Waldo Cortes-Acosta is a kind of a big, imposing frame for heavyweight. So this is going to be a test fight. We'll have to see how he actually lasts over at heavyweight. I would imagine that the lighter man skill is a very accurate thing. As Lucas Tracy's been thrown around now, everybody's been talking about it. That's accurate. The lighter man skill is absolutely there. Ryan Spann, technically, is absolutely a better fighter than Waldo Cortes-Acosta. Waldo Cortes-Acosta, though, the one strength that he does have is power. Ryan Spann has been chinned before. What's going to happen if he gets cracked? Is his chin going to be better? We don't know. Lots of questions over here. But I am going to pick Ryan Spann to get the job done. Again, from Acosta, he has power, and that's all. Ryan Spann at least has a full package. I'm excited to see his debut. I really hope he gets the job done. I would like to see him get the job done, but I'm going to pick Ryan Spann. I'm going to pick him to win. I'm interested to see him heavyweight, man. I'm just interested to see. Let's see what the odds have to say over here. And you can see the odds are unsure as well. Waldo Cortes-Acosta being a slight favorite. I don't mind that either. Sorry, guys, if you can hear my notifications. I'm muting my phone over there. I don't mind that. I get that. I get if you have the worries about like a big power guy finishing Ryan Spann, but I'm interested to see this. I'm interested. Let me know what you guys think about this one down below in the comments. Let's continue on up the card, though, guys, to one of the fights that is extremely, extremely underrated. This has potential to be fight of the night. We have Andre Lima taking on Daniel Barez. I cannot wait to watch this fight. This fight is with two prospects coming. Depending on how you want to look at Daniel Barez, whether or not he's a prospect, but two great fighters on the come up, looking good. I am excited for this fight, okay? Andre Lima is a striker with magnificent creativity and a ground game to back all of that striking up. He'll throw everything in the arsenal. I'm talking about like standing vertical elbows to omoplatas. Unfortunately, Andre Lima at this point in his career, he does lack takedown defense, but when he is taking down, he's always attacking. I love it when fighters do this. Elbowing, throwing up submissions. He has shown, though, so far in the UFC, he does have an evolving ground game, but it's still not enough to really like sit here and say, okay, Andre Lima. It's to say, like, if you take down Andre Lima, I'm not quite confident in saying, like, okay, that's the path to victory. It's improving, okay? So I'm not exactly sure where the takedown defense lies because he has been improving his game. He has, and I've been describing this every time Andre Lima fights, he has Edson Barboza-like kicks in the sense where he throws absolutely everything into the kicks. And another thing about Andre Lima is he's not afraid to cheat. The refs let people get away with it, and Andre Lima will cheat, whether that's grabbing a fence, whether that's eye poking. He's okay with it, and he will cheat. He will use that to his advantage, and that's very important to note when thinking about betting on fights. Andre Lima could sneak something in. Daniel Barez, on the other hand, he is a striker with huge pace and huge power behind his shots. He has great grappling. He has great boxing. He wants to finish the fight absolutely anywhere, no matter where it goes, and he will take risks to get that job done, and sometimes that could lead him into trouble, but usually he gets the upper hand on it, okay? His body shots are also absolute money. He has power in his hands and in his kicks. They're all the real deal. He has a really, really crisp 1-2 and really nice timing on his shots. Both of these fighters have looked really good. Daniel Barez is 36 years old. He has not shown the signs of like, okay, I have to worry about this 36-year-old right now. He's still looking great, especially in his last couple performances. And I know that he ended up losing his UFC debut to Jeff El Fialho, but honestly, like, the pace in that fight was absolutely insane. It was really, it was really good back and forth by both guys. He had the Victor Altamirano fight where I'm almost sure his nose broke. If not, he took like some insane amount of damage in this fight, and he fought through it like, man, this guy has some heart. Andre Lima, we've seen him in the UFC a few times now. I've been watching him in the LFA personally, and he's gotten better every single time that we've seen him. He's looked really good. The Felipe DeSantos win has looked good. He's showing his grappling game. Both guys are improving. Both guys are promising. I have been slightly more impressed with Andre Lima. I've been really behind this guy. I've been betting on this guy, and he hasn't let me down yet. So I am going to be picking the undefeated Andre Lima to get the job done, but Daniel Barez is absolutely no joke over here. I can't wait to watch this fight. Guys, make sure you do it. If you're watching this fight, you're probably or video, you're probably a hardcore fan. Why would you miss this fight? But do not miss this fight. Let's take a look at what OddsJam has to say over here. Andre Lima sitting at a minus 300 favorite. It wouldn't shock me. Daniel Barez ended up getting the win, but I do think Andre Lima is going to get the job done. I'm excited to watch this fight, guys, and I would imagine that you are as well. Now, guys, before we continue on the main card, let me stop you for just a second. If you were either interested in supporting the channel or because I talk a lot about betting, if you're interested in seeing where I'm putting my money where my mouth is, you can check out the channel membership, which is very cheap compared to other channels, in the pinned comment, description down below, or right next to the subscribe button. Every single Thursday, Friday, or Saturday morning, depending on whether or not I want to bet on Friday fights, I'll be posting exactly what I'm doing with my money in a community members post and a members only video. If you are interested again in signing up, supporting the channel, either way, seeing what I'm betting on, but never, I always say never blindly tail, of course. Just if you're interested in combining my fight knowledge with your own research, check it out. Again, pinned comment, description down below, right next to the subscribe button. Also, the tool we have been using is OddsJam on the video. If you're interested in OddsJam, I love OddsJam personally. It is fantastic if you're a serious sports bettor with multiple sports books. If you want to sign up to OddsJam, you can use my link in the description, pinned comment down below with code Clenbat. Thank you very much for listening, everybody. Let's move on to the main card. All right, guys, let's move on over to the main card. We have the UFC debut of Kevin Vialhos taking on Sung Woo Choi. I always feel bad for Sung Woo Choi because he is a fighter. He's a fighter with a lot of heart, man, and he hasn't been able to put it together. But anyways, let's start with Kevin Vialhos. He's a striker with great boxing, accuracy, volume, and excellent combinations. He does a good job at attacking all parts of the body. He comes forward with great pressure and overwhelms people when he gets in close. The only question that we have about Kevin Vialhos at this point in his career is how good his ground game is. He fought in the Contender Series a little while ago, and guys, what an opponent to get on your Contender Series, okay? What an opponent. He got 2 wins after that, and he got another shot in the Contender Series, which earned him a shot into the UFC. He came right out of the gate, throwing high volume, non-stop combinations, had a really nice finish, okay? Sung Woo Choi, on the other hand, he's a striker with good power, solid kicks, especially light kicks, and he does have takedowns in his back pocket. There's not a ton to break down about Sung Woo Choi. He's 11-7. Unfortunately, hasn't been able to put it together, and I wish that I could say something better about it, but he is an extremely inconsistent fighter, and it's not against the best talent, I will say. Like Alex Caceres, he lost to Josh Kalibau, Michael Trezano, and then he ended up getting the win over Jarno Aarons, but then the only loss that really aged well was the Steve Garcia loss. Unfortunately, I also don't believe that he's going to win this fight. I like what I've seen from Kevin Vialhos. He also seems very hungry. He is a vastly improved fighter from the last time we saw him in the Contender Series against somebody that is of significance, but still, like, it's not fair that you get Gene Silva for your Contender Series fight, okay? It's not fair. So he does seem to be a very capable fighter. I like what I've seen from him, and I would imagine that he can get the finish on Sung Woo Choi. Again, as I said, we have questions about Kevin Vialhos and his ground game, but I would be a little bit surprised because it's not shocking. Like, if Sung Woo Choi went for a takedown, it wouldn't, like, shock me like crazy, okay? But I think that they're going to stand on the feet. I think that they're going to bang, and I think Kevin Vialhos is going to get a win or a finish. Let's take a look at what OddsJam is saying over here. And Kevin Vialhos is sitting at a big favorite at minus 366. Unfortunately, I do agree with that. I feel bad for Sung Woo Choi. I hope he gets the win, guys, because I don't want him to, like, lose his status in the UFC. He's a fun fighter, man. I don't want to see him go. All right, guys, let's continue on up the card over to Alexander Hernandez versus Kurt Hollowbo. This is another fight that I'm very interested in. I keep forgetting that Kurt Hollowbo is 38 years old. That's crazy, but Alexander Hernandez is one that I'm interested in, okay? Because, we'll break him down first, okay? He's a great athlete. What did I say? This video is kind of over the place, guys. I'm sorry, man. He's a great athlete with power and speed, but he is incredibly inconsistent, and he's shown that through his entire career. He's 15-8. He has a really nice 1-2. He's pretty good at picking his shots, and he does have improving defense both on the feet and on the ground, and I'm interested if Alexander Hernandez is improving in general. He's 32 years old. He has a lot of experience in his back pocket. Not like the most amount of damage, but I think he's like looking good for 32. He's still inconsistent. 15-8. He's had some wins. He's had some losses. The competition level could have been much better too, by the way. I don't know what it was. The Austin Hubbard fight was a very interesting one, okay? I just, for some reason, think he's getting better. He had a pretty clean performance over here. The defense was absolutely on point. He was really accurate. He picked his shots pretty well. It wasn't perfect, but man, he looked good in this fight. And I know Austin Hubbard's like not the best win in the world, but I don't know why. In that fight in particular, it made me sit down and think like, okay, is Alexander Hernandez actually improving? I don't know, but he's also a very inconsistent fighter, so who knows? He might show up in this fight and just get floored, okay? Kurt Hollowbo, on the other hand, he's an aggressive volume striker with great combinations, but he does have an all-round game. I don't know what to think of this fight, man. Another fight that I could see going either way. This card is pretty difficult for predictions, to be honest with you. He's put together a nice sneaky win streak coming into the UFC. Lost to Trey Ogden, but that's a good loss to have because Trey Ogden's a very capable fighter. Came back, got another nice win. I'm going to go with Alexander Hernandez. I like the performance that he had last time. Kurt Hollowbo is also getting up there in age. I'm feeling a little bit good about Alexander Hernandez, man. Plus, Alexander Hernandez has a lot more experience with better fighters. He's fighting at lightweight. That's obviously better for Alexander Hernandez. I'm going to pick him to get the win. Low confidence pick. I'm talking like 70-30 maybe over here, but Alexander Hernandez, I'm going to pick to get the win. Let's see what OddsJam has to say over here. Alexander Hernandez sitting at a minus 196 average odds favorite. Again, understandable, man. Understandable. It's a tough fight to pick, but I'm interested in this one. There's a lot of fights in this card where I actually just can't wait to watch. All right, guys, let's continue on up the card to Damon Blackshear versus Cody Gibson. I love watching both of these guys fight, and if you've been following the channel, you would know that I am very, very high on Damon Blackshear. He is so much better than his 15-7 record, okay? Damon Blackshear, he's a very complete fighter. Great striker with an incredible ground game. He always shows high fight IQ, and he's very calm in the octagon. No matter where the fight goes, Damon Blackshear can compete with you and beat you. Cody Gibson, on the other hand, he is a good striker who does a good job with his length and has very nice technique. He has a ton of heart. He'll always put on the will to win, and he really excels when he's kind of like bullying his opponents, if that makes sense. He kind of has an overwhelming style, and he's shown that especially in his last two wins. I actually would describe them as like bullyish performances, both against Chad Annally here and Brian Kelleher. He looked pretty good, man, and he's looked fairly dominant as of recently, but of course that's after like 21-10. He's after two losses to both Brad Cantona and Miles Johns, but besides like Brian Kelleher, Chad Annally, like, I know it's like not the best wins in the world, but he actually looked really good. Like, he ended up mostly, like, for the Chad fight, he controlled him on the ground, landing, like, really, really good damaging shots, but he might have shown a little bit of improvement. It's tough to say, man. It's tough to say, because we've seen Cody Gibson for a while now. He's just on a little bit of a roll. Damon Blackshear, on the other hand, though. Guys, I've been high on this guy for a very, very long time, okay? I'm very disappointed, because he fought Mario Batista, okay? Lost that fight. I believe he was robbed in this fight. I believe he won this fight, and that's not coming from the angle that I hate Mario Batista. I like Mario Batista. Unpopular opinion. I like Mario Batista, okay? I legitimately believe that Damon Blackshear won this fight. And then the disappointing fight against Montel Jackson, where like 10 seconds in, Damon Jackson got floored, but then he fought Cody Stamann, okay? And I know the opponent could have been better, but the guy I knew finally came out. He used fantastic range, got an incredible knee, took his time with the ground and pound until he ended up finding a submission. Damon Blackshear, guys, is an amazing fighter, and he's just had a little bit of streak of unluckiness, okay? I'm picking Damon Blackshear to get the win. He is a better fighter, but I will say, like, Cody Gibson has been on a little bit of a roll, so this pick is a little bit worrying, and there's a lot of close fights in this card, guys. Damon Blackshear is the better fighter. He's the more complete fighter. He's in his prime. I believe that he is going to get the win. I don't know about betting, though, okay? And let's take a look at what OddsJam has to say over here. Damon Blackshear sitting at a big favorite. The odds doing my man justice. I like watching Damon Blackshear, guys. I love watching him fight. My mom likes watching him fight, too, and if you're new to the channel, typically I go to my family's. We end up watching all the UFC cards together, and my mom and I both like watching Damon Blackshear, hoping he gets the job done. I like Cody Gibson, too, but I'm not picking my heart, by the way. I actually think he's going to win. Also, guys, before we move on to the featured fight over here, if you are enjoying the video, please hit like and subscribe on the video. Comment down below. Help out the algorithm. We are trying to become one of the greatest MMA channels of all time. Plus, your time is incredibly valuable. I appreciate you spending the time over here, and I'm sorry to waste your time with another pause over here, but we don't just make MMA content. As you might know, I am your guy with too many YouTube channels. We make a ton of other types of content you can find in the description down below, or at the top of the description, you can find the link tree. We make gaming and Fortnite content. We make variety content with commentary, random tier lists, talking about things that are trending all over the internet. We also make a movie channel with movie, TV show reviews, anime show reviews. We talk about all of that. So if you're interested in any other content, I am your guy with too many YouTube channels. Please feel free, check it out. But like and subscribe to the channel, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Let's move on to the featured fight. All right, guys, let's continue on up the card over to the featured fight. We have UFC newcomer Dayar Nurgazahe taking on Brandon Rivera. And I'm sorry, guys, I just don't know how to pronounce his name. We've seen him fight before, and I am excited to see him again. We're going to go with Dayar, okay? Well, I'll learn his name eventually. Apologies for that, okay? So, he is a heavy-handed striker, good power in both of his hands and his feet, We still have questions about his grappling, and how good he actually is against decent competition, because all we've seen from him is fighters that are like nothing of significance over here until the Contender Series fight, which wasn't even an opponent of any sort of significance, and not a ton happened until he got a knockout. This dude is massive. This dude has giant power. The UFC might want to hype him up, though, because I can see the matchmaking thoughts over here against Brenson Ribeiro, okay? He's an offensive striker and a grappler. He wants to come out and take your head off. Just like Dayer will want to come out and take your head off, they're both going to be looking for knockouts. Sometimes that can work against Brenson Ribeiro, though, because he can get caught while he's moving forward. And in the past, Brenson Ribeiro has folded in fights. I could see the UFC's logic in this, because I can see Brenson Ribeiro walking forward, getting clipped. I can just see that. We do have questions, like I said, about Dayer's ground game, and Brenson Ribeiro isn't exactly the guy to test that out, but he does have takedowns in his back pocket. I see this fight being very slow-paced. I see not a ton happening, and kind of like Dayer's Contender Series bout, perhaps not a ton will happen until he ends up finding a knockout. Again, another low-confidence pick on this card. I think a lot of these fights are very close and very difficult to predict, but I am going to pick Dayer Nurgohaze to get the job done against Brenson Ribeiro. Let's continue on over to Odds Jam to see what the odds are. You can see Brenson Ribeiro sitting at a plus 195 underdog over here. I get that. I'm not ready to just sit down and say I'm all hyped up. It's just like, it's the matchmaking on this one. I can see the UFC wanting Brenson Ribeiro to end up losing this fight, but my pick is going to be Dayer Nurgohaze to get the job done. Sorry about the name pronunciation, guys. All right, let's continue on up the card, though, guys, to Elizeu Zaleski taking on Chidi Njokuani. Wow, I can't believe Chidi's getting older too, man. There's quite a few fighters I'm like, wow, you're pushing 40. That's actually crazy. But anyways, Elizeu Zaleski, very, very still relevant in the division in his old age. All-around fighter who is decent everywhere, but he doesn't exactly shine anywhere. No matter where the fight goes, Elizeu Zaleski can typically hang with you. He's had a lot of wins. He's had a few losses. He's taken on very good competition too, like Benoit Saint-Denis getting a win over Abubakar Nurmagomedov. We also had the Renat Fakhretdinov fight. We've had the Randy Brown loss and the Zach Scrogan win, where he actually looked really good just a few months ago. I don't know how much stock we want to put into that one, because Zach did end up taking that fight on a few days' notice. But regardless, Elizeu Zaleski is a very, very capable fighter. Chidi Njokuani, on the other hand, is a good rangy striker with both power and speed and solid clinch work. He can be taken down, and that's where I see Elizeu Zaleski perhaps having a little bit of success over there. The problem is, man, he had 3 losses in his last 5, and they were to okay competition. The Gregory Rodriguez one aged very well, but then he fought Reese McKee and Jared Gooden. These aren't necessarily anything where I've seen anything impressive, okay? I like Chidi Njokuani, and I kind of hope he wins. I don't know who I hope wins the fight. I like both guys, to be honest with you, but I'm looking for a reason. Chidi Njokuani always seemed to have so much promise, and he just never really showed it, I'm going to pick Elizeu Zaleski. I like the options there. If Chidi just wants to have another clinch fest, I think that Elizeu Zaleski could perhaps find some takedowns there. I don't think he'll fold there, and I think that Elizeu Zaleski has also performed better against way better competition. I like Elizeu Zaleski in this matchup. I don't know who I hope wins. It's just one of those fights where I don't really want either guy to lose, especially because both of them are not retirement ready, but they're heading towards the end of their career over there. I like Elizeu Zaleski in this matchup, and I think that he's going to get the job done. Let's see what the odds have to say about this. Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos sitting at a minus 188 favorite. Makes sense to me. I like the slight favorite idea. Chidi Njokuani is very capable of winning, but my pick is going to be Elizeu Zaleski. Now, guys, let's continue on to the main event, a rematch between Marvin Vettori and Roman Dolidze. Now, Marvin Vettori won the first fight, but there's nothing really to talk about. There wasn't really any insane notes to take away from that fight. So this is a weird breakdown, man. This is a weird breakdown. Marvin Vettori showing back up after how long? Oh, I thought it was longer than that. Sorry. I thought it was longer than that. But, I'm worried about Marvin Vettori, man, because he took so much damage in that fight. So much to the point where it's okay, we could see a durability issue with Marvin Vettori. That's important to note. But anyways, Marvin Vettori, he's always been a decent fighter. He's primarily a wrestler, but we don't really see it. He often gets biased on his toughness and cardio, durability. All of it just ends up working out for him sometimes. He's 19-6. He wins some, he loses some. He's always fighting top competition, lost Israel Adesanya, beat Paulo Costa, which actually was a pretty good performance. Robert Whittaker ended up getting destroyed by. Then the Roman Dolidze fight, which was just his second fight ago, ended up getting a decision there. And then, of course, we had the Jared Cannonier destruction. Roman Dolidze, on the other hand, 36 years old, getting up there in age. He bounced back after having 2 wins after his 2 losses to both Marvin Vettori and Nasruddin Imavov, which they're good losses to have. Marvin Vettori was a better loss to have a couple years ago, but he bounced back, got a win over Anthony Smith, which means absolutely nothing. And then the Kevin Holland fight, where we don't know if Kevin Holland was faking or not, but just on like some sort of scramble, like he won. He injured during a transition or something like that. I don't know. We couldn't really exactly see what was wrong with Kevin Holland in that fight, but that's why a lot of people were talking about Kevin Holland faking it. I don't know, man. It's a fun matchup because both guys are like blockheads that walk forward and could swing. I see the fight going the exact same way as the first time, assuming that Marvin Vettori is not washed. And I don't think he's washed because he's 31 years old, but you got to question, like, he's had a lot like of stress put on his body over the years of the fight. He's fought against really good competition. And what perfect timing for the end of the video over here. I don't know how much it's coming through the microphone, but we have some insane construction going on over here. I had to re-record a bunch of times, so I'm gonna keep going on the breakdown of the fight in just a second. I'm probably gonna be in different clothes because I'm just gonna record it later. Hi, I'm back. It's been a little while. So as I was saying, you gotta worry about Marvin Vettori at this point because I worry about the amount of damage that he's taken in his fights. Assuming that Marvin Vettori is totally okay, assuming that Marvin Vettori has not had too much damage, especially from the last Jared Cannonier fight, assuming he's okay after the layoff, I imagine it just going a little bit like the first one. I don't imagine Roman Dolidze bringing anything to the table that can kind of move the blockhead of Marvin Vettori. I imagine Marvin Vettori could hold him up against the fence. I don't think Roman Dolidze's ground game is anything for Vettori to worry about. I imagine it being just a sloppy stand-up fight, and I would imagine that Marvin Vettori would get the win there. So I worry about Marvin Vettori and his body coming back, but if he's totally okay, I would imagine that this is a matchup that he could win just like he did the first one. Guys, let me know what you think about this down below about the main event, and you can see that the odds are actually pretty close. I thought that Marvin Vettori would be a little bit more of a favorite, but I don't know what to, like maybe the odds makers are thinking along the same sort of thing. We don't know where Marvin Vettori is kind of at in his career. Regardless, let me know what you thought about everything down below. Thank you so much for spending your time over here. Check out the video on screen right now. YouTube thinks you'll like it the best. Thank you very much for being here, everybody. Take care.